Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Good morning, and welcome back to another Good Morning Grief Devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. So happy, so excited, so ecstatic, so elated to have this wonderful opportunity to come to you today and to lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural, normal, and necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. And that's why we shout good morning, because morning is a good thing. And I'm so glad that you're here with us on today as we lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 352. This message is for me and for you. Real quick, we're going to talk about I'm on the lookout for signs of reconciliation. I am on the lookout. Bolo, be on the lookout. I've issued a bolo for signs of reconciliation. Let's talk about it, y'all. I'll know that I'm moving toward reconciling my grief when it starts to feel like an integral part of my life story. I'll know that I'm moving toward reconciling my grief when it starts to feel like an integral part of my life story. I will feel that my relationship with the person who died is changing from one of presence to one of memory, and perhaps one of hoped for eventual reunion. This is all a part of the journey, y'all. As you navigate through your grief journey, we are going to be on the lookout, right? Looking out for the signs of reconciliation, of bringing things together, of bringing things back together. And part of that means we will know that we're moving towards reconciling our grief when we feel like it's an integral part of our life story. We spend a lot of time really wrestling, right, and fighting and opposing what has happened, what has taken place. But the very moment that we start to acquiesce and submit and understand that this is part of our story, right? That a lot of times we spend time in the now, fighting the reality of the situation. When we get to the point of what we know we're headed towards reconciliation, when we start to say, yo, this is part of my life story. This is part of my life story. This is full circle. This is reconciling. This is us coming together, right? Because we fight it. I don't want this. I don't want this reality. I don't want this. We spend so much time resisting it, right? Resisting it instead of embracing it, right? We spend so much time resisting the reality of it instead of embracing it and understanding this is a part of my story, right? And it's not just, again, grief is a loss, change, transition, not just death, but think about this. Think about this in terms of any loss, change, or transition that we go through. We spend time resisting the reality. We spend time resisting the reality that we're getting older, right? Resisting the reality of our age. We spend time resisting it. There's so many things that we do. No, I'm going to color. I'm good. Y'all see, I embrace my grays. I ain't gonna put no Grecian number 5 on my and it's no shame to nobody that does, right? But a lot of times we spend time resisting our reality when nobody when they no longer want to be with us. We spend time resisting that reality, resisting the reality of somebody no longer wanting to be with us. So we resist the reality. What they got against me? What's wrong with me? Why are they resisting the reality that we're no longer together, resisting the reality of a company that has laid you off, resisting the reality of the dynamics of a friendship that's changed. We spend time resisting the reality, and when we resist, we wrestle because we don't want to accept this. We don't want to accept it. We don't want to accept it, so we resist the reality of it instead of just embracing it, instead of accepting it, instead of befriending it, instead of understanding, oh, this is part of the story. That this is a chapter in the story. This is a part of the story that I'm going to embrace instead of resist, right? I say this all the time, even if you look at it in terms of, think about this like law enforcement. Sometimes I hate to use this because they overdo it, but they will say stop resisting. If they're trying to bring you into custody, and they're trying to put handcuffs on you, they'll say, stop resisting, stop fighting, and surrender. Just surrender peacefully. Stop resisting, right? And so we struggle and things get worse and all of this. And they gotta use more for all this stuff, right? Because we're resisting instead of surrendering, right? And so, if you can understand that, and if you can understand that oftentimes resistance is going to make it worse, it's going to make it harder, it's going to make it more challenging, it's going to make it worse instead of just surrendering to the reality of what is. So, even when it comes to our grief, we know that we're reconciling, right? When we're not resisting the reality of it, but we are surrendering to it. We acquiesce, we fall back. This is a part of my life, this is a part of my story, right? And that's the place eventually. If you can navigate through your grief journey, eventually that's the place, hopefully and prayerfully, that you will come to. I'll know that I'm moving toward reconciling my grief when it starts to feel like an integral part of my story. I will feel that my relationship with the person who died is changing from one of presence, right, to one of memory. Perhaps one of hope for eventual reunion. We long, the we go from presence to memory, right? Because we're used to their presence, we're used to them here, and that's the reality. We resist that they're no longer here, right? And when we get to the point to where we transition from one of presence to one of memory, right? Then that's when we get to the place where we are no longer resisting the reality, but we are uh, submitting to the reality of our situation and understanding that, yo, this is part of the story. And it's not just presence to memory, but also, I love what it said, also hope for eventual reunion, the reconciliation. We'll meet again. We'll meet again over on the other shore, right? That we start to look forward to and long for the day, the opportunity where we will meet again. I find momentum towards reconciliation in active mourning. The way we gain momentum towards reconciliation, we gain momentum through active mourning, right? Active mourning, expressing outwardly what we're feeling inwardly, doing the work, right? Mixing some action with our mourning. That's how we gain momentum and navigate through the process. The more I engage with my grief and actively mourn over time, the more I will feel the pain of my grief softening. The more I engage with my grief the more I engage with my grief and actively mourn over time. This is the thing, y'all. So many people don't want to engage with their grief. We suppress it, we don't express it. We ignore it, we don't explore it. I was talking to somebody yesterday, same thing, right? That oftentimes, and this what happens. We may think that, oh, I'm not like debilitated. I'm not like balled up in the corner somewhere, so I'm good, right? Oh, I'm not crying 24 hours a day, so I'm good. Y'all, that's not the way it works, right? And then we distract ourselves by doing things like staying busy. If I just stay busy, but that busyness comes in lieu of engaging with our grief because we don't want to engage with it. So let's just stay busy. Let's just stay busy. If I stay busy, I don't have to engage it. And engaging is the number one thing, the best thing that you can do. How do you feel and reveal how you feel? How do you feel and reveal how you feel? And this is not a one time thing, it's an ongoing thing because feelings become fluid. That there's so many different aspects to the loss, the change, and the transition that you've experienced that your feelings become fluid. Because one minute you feel this, the next minute you feel that. One day you feel this, tomorrow you may feel that. One day that you see it from this angle, tomorrow there's a different perspective. So, is how do you feel and reveal how you feel? And when you actively engage your grief, actively engage it, don't ignore it, explore it. The more you do that and the more you do it over time, the more you will feel the pain of your grief softening. The more you do it, the more you do it over time, the grief will start to soften. Y'all, whenever I get back into my weightlifting regimen, whenever I start off, it's so painful. I ain't lifted in a while, and so I start. It's painful. It hurts real bad. It seems like the weight is heavy, right? But what I found is the more I lift, the more I engage in lifting. Give it a couple of weeks, a few weeks, the soreness done wore out. And what started out as real heavy 3 weeks ago, it's like I can feel it. I can feel it's softening. It's lighter. It's a little bit lighter now. It was heavy. It was heavy 3 weeks ago. It's a little bit lighter now. Why? Because I'm building up my strength. Same thing applies to grief, right? Starting out, it can be real heavy. The more you actively engage it, it softens. The more you actively mourn, the thing that was heavy initially, right? It starts to soften. The intensity will fade. Hope for my continued life will emerge as I'm able to make commitments to the future. Here's the final thought, y'all. Reconciling myself to life's changes comes more and more naturally to me. Reconciling myself to life's changes, it comes more and more naturally to me. Today is day 352. This lesson was for me and for you. I'm on the lookout, Bolo, for signs of reconciliation. Come on, do me a favor. If you got questions, you drop them below. Y'all had some questions the other day. I want to whenever possible open the floor to questions that you may have about that lesson or anything pertaining to grief. Questions that you may have about that lesson or anything pertaining to grief. Any questions? I know we're having navigating through the holiday season, praying for y'all. Y'all know we are doing this thing. We are doing this thing, right? Actively engage. Don't ignore, explore. Don't suppress, express, engage. Don't ignore, explore. Don't suppress, express. Engage them feelings. Engage how you feeling, right? It's a season. It's the season, holiday season. There's a lot of things you may be feeling and going through. And that's how we navigate through this. Well, no questions are coming through. Look, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all with the love of the Lord. Um, I look forward to connecting with y'all again tomorrow, same time, same place. We in this thing. Let's go for the Lord. Amen. Amen. I hope and pray y'all have a terrific Tuesday again. Uh, Hey, Denise. Denise says, how to reconcile my two parents, both age 90, with dementia. I lose them in different ways daily. How to reconcile my two parents, both age 90. Yep, I lose them in different ways daily. Um, and that dementia is so, man, because like you said, you lose them in different ways daily. And that's a great question. I might have to sit with it for a while. I I think I said I said something the other day about the minutes and the moments that God gives us, feeling the presence and the power of God in the minutes and the moments that He gives us. The dementia thing can be so rough because, like you said, you lose them in different ways daily. Um, and so, number one, and I think I told you yesterday, you having the opportunity to have a safe place and safe space for you to just be able to feel and reveal, right? For you to be able to feel what you feel and to reveal what you feel. Like what's on your heart, what's on your mind, what are your thoughts daily? I think you got to have a daily check in with yourself on how you're feeling today, right? Um, Not just how to minister to them or how to um, navigate through this season with them. I think that's one part, but I think the other part is for you to be able to have a, like I said, a safe place and safe space for you to be able to check in with yourself daily, and to reveal how you're feeling, right? Because you have emotions regard to what's going on, and whether it's angry, whether you're upset, whether you feel cheated, whether you know you could be joyous of the times you did have, the memory that they did, whatever you're feeling, right? There's no right or wrong. Feelings are there to help us to process. So whatever you're feeling, I think that you have to have a daily check-in. You got to have a daily check-in um, for the sake of yourself. And whether it's a daily check-in, a weekly check-in, if you yourself are meeting with a counselor, a therapist, or somebody, whether it's weekly or biweekly or whatever the case may be, whether you're meeting in a support group or whether you're journaling, there's things you can do daily, things you can do weekly. There may be things you can do monthly, right? Maybe the daily is the journaling, or talking to a friend, having a safe place daily where you can um, vent or just cast the cares of your heart, and how you feel on a daily basis. But then also, like I said, if there's a professional you can talk to kind of help you pull back some of those layers and process how you're feeling, you got to have multiple spaces: friend, therapist, counselor, journal, prayer. God says, cast all your care upon me because I care for you. We can empty our hearts out to God, even in prayer, on how we're feeling about what we're going through. I was doing that this morning on my prayer walk, right? And it's so therapeutic, right? Because these are things I can share in secret with God about how I'm feeling, about me, about life, about my situations, about my circumstances. And this is the thing: the the blessing is getting it off your chest. The blessing is in the release, because the release brings about relief. The release brings about relief. So as you navigate through this for yourself, for the sake of yourself, know that your opportunity to release it is going to bring about, a relief within you to help you to navigate through the process. Otherwise, you just got this pressure, you got all these emotions, all of these things built up on the inside that could explode, right? Unless you have pockets of release, you build a rhythm of release. So that's number one, right? That's number one. You got to do that. The other part is understanding, or getting to a place to understand this season in the life of your parents, right? That you begin to understand the season that they have entered into, and looking back over their life, the seasons and the chapters, and you celebrate the minutes, the moments, the memories, and all of these things that you've had. and we understand that seasons change and they are transitioning into a season. So how do we deal with this? How do I deal with my parents having dementia? I know that um, I know that somebody was saying, or from what I understand, and I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if the memory is better in the daytime, but towards the evening, things start to get a little debilitating, or they start to not remember as much the later, later on in the evening, or as the nighttime comes, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit more, Denise, if you have, if you know. But it's maximizing the minutes and the moments that you have. And if that is the case, definitely taking advantage of the time and the opportunity where you can maximize the time of them, whether it's knowing you, remembering you, whatever the case may be, having those conversations, and then just even navigating through asking God or even professionals or even other people who have gone through the same thing. How do I navigate through this season of my parents having dementia? How do I navigate through this, like literally? How do I navigate through this emotionally? How do I navigate through this mentally? Like, what are some things that I can do? How do I prepare for the shifting of the season that they're in, right? And so there's just a lot of different things going through this season for you to do personally, right? But also for how you can handle this situation moving forward. So I don't know if any of that helps, right? I don't know if it translated. I know what I'm trying to say. I hope it translated in some type of way. Basically, I mean, you got to have a safe place and safe space for you where you can articulate the cares of your heart. And then also on the other side of that coin, finding ways to show up and to carry out the season that they're currently in, right? Maximizing the minutes, the moments, the opportunities that you have. If it is daytime, where they're more coherent, spending time with them and that opportunity. Um, and pull on other resources, right? Other professionals, other people. How do I navigate through dementia care or Alzheimer's care um, for my parents, and coming to the realization that, like you said, reconciling that this is where it's headed, right? Good words, many thanks. Took notes to take action. Okay, I'm glad, and keep us informed. Keep us informed on the journey and where they're at and what's going on and what's taking place. And so hopefully it was helpful, and that's something we can all continue to dive in together to continue to explore and to look at some best practices and some other things on what we need to do. So thank you so very much. I appreciate you asking. And for everybody else, I hope and pray y'all have a terrific Tuesday. And we gonna make it. So I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I will see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place, same space. Let's go.